Hey, good morning, everybody. TGIF. It is Friday, the second Friday, believe it or not, in 2025. It is 10:12 a.m. Pacific, and I wanted to come on here do a bit of a review, or at least I wouldn't say review, but more of an updated discussion on the recent chapter or page that dropped for the Sabrina Online story arc, current story arc. Stripes and Links. Now, in case you guys don't know what Stripes and Links is, it is the newest story arc that's been going on, believe it or not, for most of 2024. Yes, it's been going on for most of 2024 and everything. It is at now 41 pages. Yeah, I thought it was 41 pages last time, but no, it's 41 pages. It's at 41 pages now. The last update came about last week. It came last week, actually on Monday. It actually came on Monday last week, which was the last Monday in 2024. So that was the last time we had one, and now 15 hours ago, as of this recording, it came out yesterday, today, if you will, as well. Now, for some of you, and I've mentioned this in the last one, that may not know about what's going on, long story short, Zig Zag basically did something that honestly she's known to do. Because she's very loving, very affectionate. Probably more so than she needs to be. Mainly because of the fact that she is the head of an adult studio. Yeah, she's the head of an adult studio named after her called Double Z Studios. And she's used to basically kind of doing certain things, certain ways, starring in certain films, if you will, with both male and female, doing certain, I guess you could say, how do I put this? Certain unique activities that you'll read about in fiction and all that. She will actually do, and if you check out the first volume of the Tales from Fur After Dark, you'll see exactly what I mean. Because she put together, because one of the stories she's in that one, it's kind of put together like a journal, like a diary she wrote to describe what she was going through, the activities. But anyway, she ended up basically going out with Sabrina's mom, Endora. And Endora asked her, basically, long story short, if she was still attractive, if she could still, if she still felt, basically Endora was curious about her, about how she looked, whether she was still attractive, good looking, and of course they had a couple of drinks at the time because they were out at a bar. They were basically having a ladies' night out. It's one of the things that they get to do once in a while because Zig Zag gets along with Endora. So Zig Zag, of course, having a feud just like Endora, says, "Oh yeah, you're still very attractive, very hot." And then she ends up kissing Endora on the lips. It kind of puts Endora into a state of shock to the point that instead of taking up Zig Zag's offer to have an Uber or a Lyft pick her up to take her home, instead she calls her husband. Her husband basically finds out from her exactly what happened, and yeah, it's kind of like a situation that's very awkward. Sabrina then finds out, that something's up. She asks Zig Zag what's going on, and Zig Zag knew, hey, I gotta tell her, she's basically she's not just my employee and everything, or maybe my third or second in command, but she's also my best friend. So Zig Zag basically tells her what happens, kind of explains that she didn't mean for it to happen, it just happened, and that she herself regretted it. And what's interesting about it, as well, if you go back and watch it, or go back and read it, it's like around the first or second strip, comic strip or page that Eric put up, and you can find it on the SabrinaOnline.com, so Sabrina-online.com. But basically, Zig Zag's the one that stops herself from mid kiss, like she's kissing Endora, but she stops herself, and Endora, like I say, she's just in shock. So Zig Zag explains, what she did, and then she kisses Sabrina to kind of give Sabrina an example of the reaction she expected from Endora, because because Sabrina pushes off saying, "Hey, Zig, knock it off," and Zig Zag's like, you see, that's what I would have expected. I thought I would get that from her just like I did from you." So Sabrina, understanding this because she's been around Zig Zag a lot more and she knows how she is, tries explaining to her folks the situation. Like, look, I know Zig Zag could be, affectionate, could be overly affectionate and all that, but she doesn't mean any harm. And she basically tries to tell him, look, she's been known to do this kind of stuff. She almost shoots herself in the foot when explaining this by telling her folks, yeah, she's done it to me a few times. And then she realizes, oh, maybe I should not bring that up because, her parents are giving her looks and everything, and her father mostly. So, Sabrina's like, whoops, I'm shooting myself in the foot. I better not bring that up. But she's trying to basically get the answer from her mom. She's trying to get her mom's side of things as to, okay, why did you not push away? Like, when that happened, why did you not just shove her away, say, hey, knock it off? Why'd you do that? Why'd you stay in shock? And what's interesting is, unlike with the father, kind of with the father, but mostly with Sabrina, she doesn't want to bring it up. She does not want to talk about it, that being Endora. So Sabrina's like, look, I'm going to get the answer out of you somehow. I'm going to get the answer out of you somehow. Eventually, I'm just going to leave right now and, give it time. So she goes home. She goes to her husband, Richard, RC, if you will. And she asked him, and she basically explains to him what happened. And Richard, he kind of laughs it up, kind of gets a chuckle out of it. And then he explains that he's dealt with similar situations in his family. But the one thing he's learned from that, from his own family, from his parents, is to kind of just casually talk, not be overbearing about it, but just have a casual conversation and kind of slowly bring it up, kind of like take your time, build to it in a very casual, respectful way, like kind of get on her level to try to, bring it out. And Sabrina's like, hey, that's not a bad idea. I could try that and see what happens. So the next time we see Sabrina with her parents, Sabrina's going to try to go the more casual, route, where, she's basically with them and she's talking about things and try to, work, finding out any information she can from her mom about what happened, but not be so overbearing about it. Now, Sabrina is also left in charge of the studio because, again, Zig Zag basically looks at her as like her second in command, her best friend. And Sabrina, takes to it easily. She doesn't fall for any of the, staff trying to basically take advantage of her and everything. Like Sheila Vixen tries to, get her to sign off on something. And, she's quick to kind of see like, oh, Sheila's trying to pull a fast one. And Sheila basically tells the rest of the staff when she realizes, oh, shoot, she's not buying this. She yells back at them and says, hey, guys, whatever things you want to try to do when Zig Zag's not here, don't do it. Or don't attempt to ask Sabrina. She's not falling for it, But anyway. But yeah, anyways. Sabrina basically, she gets through the first day. And basically, she asks before she leaves, is there anything else they need? And they're like, no, we're good. We can handle the rest. We just got to do a few more filming and all that. We're good. So we go to Zig Zag. She's on a trip with Tina the Lynx, who's her bisexual on and off girlfriend and lover, if you will. Bisexual on and off lover, girlfriend, other BFF. And basically, Tina is living with her for the time, we find out, because, she's moving around, moving from another place to another. And Zig Zag takes her in, which she has no problem with. And, as they're, going and, going on this trip, they do reminisce of when they first met. And everything. And Zig Zag's going in incognito. She doesn't want to get recognized and all that. So, because of her status. And she even tested out at the gas station, and much to her surprise, it does work. The incognito-ness for her helps out. And she's like, hey, nobody recognized me. That's good. So, they're able to continue with their trip. They're able to continue with the trip, but it's during the trip that she loses the hat to her disguise and everything. And basically, they do stop at a hotel where they reminisce of how they first met. And we find out that Tina is the one that actually discovered Zig Zag at a stripper club. And Zig Zag's kind of surprised, that Tina approaches her the way she does because she's used to a male, not a female. But she's like, hey, money's money, so it's still $100. But Tina's like, no, whoa, whoa, not so fast. I'm not here for, that. But, she does kind of compensate for it later. But in the flashback, she's like, no, I'm not here for that. I'm here to talk to you about recruiting you over to, do some things with, with the adult studio that I work at. So they go back and forth about this in the flashback. We find out that when they first met, Zig Zag was like 18. She had just turned 18, so she was her own person, being able to do what she wanted. And basically, we find out that, the offer was on the table for her to go and explore this opportunity. And like I said, like I said, Tina does still take her up on the, hey, basically takes, Zig Zag in the flashback, trying to find the right word to say, Zig Zag up in the flashback on having a little fun, which they do. They end up basically getting it on with each other and everything before, Tina leaves and leaves Zig Zag to contemplate in the flashback of what her next move would be. And we find out that it wasn't even a few days or a week that Zig Zag said, hey, I'll take you up on your offer. I'll go do this adult studio stuff. And she did have the courtesy to let her, management know, her boss know, hey, I got this better offer. I'm going to go and do some adult films and everything with the studio. But it's also during the flashback we find out that their boss is very, I guess you could say, set in his ways. And Zig Zag, she's very adventurous. We find out she's very adventurous. She likes to do different things. She likes to try different things. And in the flashback, she suggests to the boss, hey, what if we tried this? What if we tried that? Getting some coffee there. But she's like, what if we tried this? What if we tried that? And the boss is, like I said, he's very stubborn, very stuck in his ways. And he's like, hey, man. And he's like, look, I get what you want, but we're not doing it. We're doing it my way. That's what the people want. And I know, but basically, he's, to use a wrestling terminology, he's doing a Vince McMahon and a Tony Khan in the flashback. Like, he basically believes he knows what's best for everybody. And he knows what they want. So Zig Zag's like, okay, fine, I'm just going to leave it. And we find out that Tina is only a secretary, that she's never had the opportunity to perform herself. And, Zig Zag's like, hey, you should perform. You should get the opportunity. And Tina's like, no, it's not me and everything. I'd rather not do that. Or something like that. I think that's kind of what it is and everything. Let me kind of look back a little bit, guys. Hold on for a sec. But yeah, basically, Zig Zag wants to do all these other things. And the boss is like, look, it's my way or it's the highway, period. And everything. He's like, it's my way or the highway, period. And Zig Zag, she wants to do other things. She wants to explore other options and all that. And it is just, it's just a fun little flashback and everything. Again, I'm looking it up here. Here it is. Basically, basically, we have the flashback here and everything. Yeah, we're here. So let me see if I get this up here. So basically, she appreciates Tina giving her in the flashback, appreciate Tina's help around there, and she's got some money, she's gotten fame, but managed to help out her family. But she feels like she's in a rut, and that it's the same thing, every day, basically the same routine. And she doesn't hate it, but but she'd enjoy it much more if they let them do some new things and have fun with it. And, she thanks Tina, says she's tolerable and all that. She might have quit right away if she didn't get to work with her and all that. And then Tina basically says, I won't be doing on-screen work anymore. and it's because she feels she's getting too old. And Zig Zag's like, no, 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 you're not even past 30 yet. And basically, Tina points out that at their studio, or at the studio they worked at, that they like them young, and she can still do secretarial work. And that's when they come up with basically the idea, or at least Zig Zag comes up with the idea, to start their own studio. And we flash forward to the present, like I said, to where they're at the hotel and everything, trying to, rest up. Of course, to have a little fun with each other as well. And then we end up basically having her show up at her families and all that. She ends up at her families, her relatives, and we meet her brother and her sister, or re-meet them again. Her brother is kind of like a male version of Zig Zag, not Zig Zag, but a male version of Sabrina. Her sister Brandy's got like a totally different design, like it's an original design and everything. Where she's a skunk, but she also has a bit of that tigerness in her as well. And basically, the difference between the two of them, Brandy's more happy to see Zig Zag than Brandon, and it's mostly because of the fact that Brandon, I guess you could say. Let me see if I got this here. Let me see if I got this. Let's see. Yeah, Brandon's too, like, he originally, he's like, I don't want her in, I don't want her in, don't want her here. And Brandy's more accepting of it. And, basically, she just wants to know how they're doing. And Brandon basically says they're managing barely, and that she'd know that if she were around, and that, of course, upsets Brandy a little bit. And Zig Zag's like, well, I would have dropped by a lot sooner if I'd known I'd get such a warm welcome and everything. And you can kind of tell what it is with Brandon. Part of it is with Brandon. Brandon's more like, look, I love you and everything. You're my sister. But I'm not happy that you're never around when we want you to be. You're never around as much as you should be and everything. And, they're just, she's just happy. Brandy's just happy that Zig Zag's there and everything. And, Zig Zag just wants to see how they're doing, make sure that they're getting the money that she's been putting into their account, into the family fund. And Brandy lets her know, yeah, we've been getting it. But that Brandon doesn't want to use it because he wants to be self-sufficient. And Brandon's reasoning is, I'd rather not be dependent on anyone else, or indebted, if you will. And Zig Zag's like, look, I understand that, but it's there if you need it. And Brandon does kind of calm down. He says, look, I don't mean to be so hostile and everything. And Zig Zag's like, I get it. We've hardly seen each other in years. And that it's only natural for them to have a lot of unresolved issues build up over time. And then Brandy basically brings up that, she's glad she's glad Zig Zag thought of them enough to visit, and that they've been keeping track of their famous sister's career, which intrigues Zig Zag and all that, and then causes her to crack up and everything when Brandy's like, oh yeah, I mean, in general, we're not checking out your videos or anything like that. And then Brandon's response is, oh God, no, I don't want to watch my sister getting railed. In other words, he's saying, I don't want to see my sister get it up the rear, if you know what I mean. And then, of course, that's when the grandparents show up, because we do find out that the grandparents are coming in. And Zig Zag's kind of surprised, like, oh, what? And everything, like, what? And everything, because they hear the doorbell, and Zig Zag's like, what's that? And then Brandy's like, oh, right, Grandpa and Grandma are coming over today. And then Zig Zag's like, what? And then they come in and everything. Then they come in with Tina, looking around in the hallway because they live in an apartment, I think, or a duplex apartment. And then wondering if Tina is someone they know. And then Zig Zag speaks up and says, oh, yeah, she's with me. Then she waves to them, says hi. And then we find out what her real name is, which has been, I think, revealed before. And Zig Zag's real name is Tanya. Which, of course, Zig Zag points out to her grandma that she hasn't gone by that name in years, and that she's now Zig Zag. She had it legally changed and everything. The grandma, of course, says doesn't know if she'll ever get used to calling her that, and that Zig Zag will always be her little Tanya to her. In which Zig Zag's like, I know. So now we get to the more recent one, where we see they're getting ready for dinner and all that, and Zig Zag's asking if she could help and everything, and Brandy's like, you don't have to if you don't want to, and Zig Zag's like, I don't mind. I don't do a lot of my own cooking, but at least I can assist. But at least I can. She says basically to Brandy that she doesn't mind helping and that she doesn't do a lot of her own cooking, but she can at least assist. And Brandy's like, okay, can you chop up the veggies? And Zig Zag's like, sure, I can handle that. And then she starts asking her a question, and then she wants to know an answer to a question she has. Zig Zag asking Brandy, of course, and she's asking her if her career has caused any problems with the family. And Brandy's like, well, what do you mean? And she just wants to know if anybody's giving them, a problem or trouble with, what she does. And Brandy's like, no, not really. And, she points out that, Zig Zag changed her name from Tanya to Zig Zag, and that they don't look much alike, and they, so hardly anyone knows they're related. And Brandon's like, yeah, and we make it a point to not call attention to it. Basically saying, hey, yeah, we make it a point to not let people know, our sister is, the head and the star, or one of the head and the main star of this adult film studio in Cincinnati. And then Brandy points out that, there aren't many still around that remember Zig Zag from back when they were young, who would make that connection. And Zig Zag's glad about that. She says she doesn't want to cause any hardship just by existing. And Brandon's in the back walking to, I guess I guess you could say the living room or the kitchen, with just going and all that. So you can tell there's something there, but we don't know what yet. And I got a feeling we're gonna find out. Like, I think maybe there's something there when it comes to Brandon and Zig Zag, and the fact that he's more, I guess you say, raised in the sense that this is my opinion, and I'll get into it in a moment, but I think he's raised in a way that he feels, something is going on that shouldn't be going on. Anyway, we end the most recent one with Zig Zag, with Tina coming in and asking Zig Zag if she thinks she can come out there. She doesn't know anyone there, and she's already said everything possibly she can about the weather. And Zig Zag's like, sure, yeah, sure, I'll be right out. So that's basically how the recent issue, or the recent page ends, page 41. And it's a nice little, it's a nice little break from what's going to be the calm before. It's basically a nice little break of the calm before the storm, if you will. And I like the fact that, Zig Zag, I like the fact that Zig Zag just, she's very caring and very caring, towards not just friends like Sabrina and all that and her family, but mostly with her own flesh and blood. And she basically wants to make sure, like, look, I do, this adult content on the side, not on the side, but I do this adult content for a living. I'm the head of the studio. I just want to make sure that what I do is not causing you guys any issues. It's not causing you any issues whatsoever. And, and it's good, to hear, for her, that it's not causing them any issues, because most of the people that, would probably cause an issue are no longer there. Are no longer living in the same vicinity, if you will, as they are. But again, like I said, you can tell there's something going on with Brandon and Zig Zag. Like, Brandon has this issue with Zig Zag, which, my opinion, goes back to when they were young and everything. And I think it has to do, something with the parents and how the upbringing was done, if you will. Because I think what it is that Brandon, through the father, if not through the mother, was raised to be more proper, more self-responsible and everything. Brandy, same way, but she's more of a free spirit. You can tell that. But she was raised basically to, be helpful, be decent, be kind, and all that, which is why she's happy to see her sister and everything. But you can tell the hostility with Brandon. It's like, look, I get you got this living and all that. You make this living, and that's great. But, why aren't you around when we need you? Why aren't we around when we need you the most? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's past issues to where, again, the father figure wasn't just probably, I guess you could say, it wasn't just trouble for Zig Zag, from what I understand, but also trouble for maybe her siblings, mostly the son. So I'm thinking that's where the hostility comes from. Like the father, when Zig Zag left, took out any aggression he had on Brandon, and caused him to be raised in the manner that in the manner that he was. And maybe the mother basically knew about that, and it's like, divorced the father or something like that. I don't know. Guys, let me know if I'm wrong about that or something. And the mother, along with the grandparents, raised the kids more properly. And Brandon's like, he's upset that Zig Zag wasn't there, but being raised properly as well. He doesn't want, basically to go down the same path that Zig Zag did, because maybe what he feels Zig Zag is doing is wrong and inappropriate, in my opinion. That's just my take on it. Like, I think it's a lot of hostility. I think the father figure or the stepfather took any aggression he had out on the son when Zig Zag disappeared. On the son as well. No, actually, let me correct myself there. Zig Zag actually was taking care of her siblings a little bit as they got older too, because I think something happened with the stepfather. I think he got divorced from the mom, and I think the mom either passed away or something happened. So the grandparents came in, and then Zig Zag was given the responsibility to take care of them as well, or at least help raise them. And then I guess when she went off to do her thing, Brandon, had a little bit of resentment. I think the resentment is also because of the fact that the father, again, when Zig Zag wouldn't be around, when they were younger, would take aggression out on the son and everything. And he just, has had it, basically my thing is Brandon feels like Zig Zag stabbed the family in the back, basically betrayed the family when she went off and did, her own thing and all that after, being with them for a while. She basically felt like maybe she betrayed the family to go out off and do her own thing, and then start doing this adult stuff that she's doing, and that basically that is not how they were originally raised. That they were raised to be proper and respectful, and not to exploit themselves in the manner that Zig Zag is doing for a living. So I think honestly that's the whole thing with Brandon. Basically, he feels maybe because he does bring it up, like basically that Zig Zag would be more in the know of what's going on with the family if she was around more. So that's basically what it is. He just wants her to basically, apologize for not being there when she should be, and then maybe the end result would be not only them kind of, I guess you could say burying the hatchet, hugging it out, and him kind of apologizing for his hostilities, in the way he was reacting. But I think it's going to end with a promise from Zig Zag that she'll be basically, around them more than she was in the past. Like basically, she'll make them the priority that they need to be. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I think we're going to find out a lot more about what's going on with Zig Zag through the grandparents and so on. And I don't know if we'll see the parents, because that could cause a lot of drama, but I think the grandparents right now are sufficed enough to really just basically, I don't know if we'll see the parents, period, because again, I think I've heard something happened. Let me know in the comments. But basically, I think what's going to occur is we'll find out more from the parents about why, Zig Zag's the way she is, maybe where she gets it from. And we might even find out there could be a connection with Endora. A lot of fans have been making the speculation that Endora might be related to the grandmother because they look alike a little bit. And I was thinking about this earlier. There could be a possibility that they are maybe cousins. And that, the cousins that went to college, and that, the grandma, being Endora's cousin, may have saw a side of Endora that now Endora's trying to hide, and everything, that, hide from the world, hide from her family, that that the grandmother saw, on display back when they were younger and in college and all that. And I think we're going to find out that Endora had a wild side similar to what Zig Zag has, when it comes to what she does. To what she does for a living and everything, on screen and off screen. I think we're going to find that out. We're going to probably find out that the mom probably got it on with not just males, but also females as well when they were young in college. So I think we're going to find that out eventually. I think we're going to get that connection maybe. I think we're going to find out also that the grandparents know about Zig Zag and what she does. Obviously because of the grandkids know, obviously the grandparents know as well. And I think the grandparents are going to be more understanding of that than even Brandon is. And I think, again, that's when we're going to get we're going to find out more about what's happening, what's happening with Zig Zag and why she acts the way she does. And again, I think we'll get that connection. And then I think on the Sabrina side of things, trying to get answers, when she starts doing the more casual talk to, get the info she needs, we'll find out that basically, we'll get a similar story in between. Maybe we'll get the kind of the side-by-side panels where you get one side where it's, Zig Zag getting the information from the grandparents, and then the other side, Sabrina's getting similar information from her mom, and then we're going to go from there. So that's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be it'll be really interesting to find out if there is maybe a family connection, that basically Sabrina, to me, the payoff would be just that, to find out if there is a family connection. The payoff to me would just to see the facial reactions of Zig Zag and Sabrina basically being like, what? Like, we're actually related? We're family? That moment alone would be priceless. That moment alone, in my opinion, would just be priceless. But anyway, though, I'm looking forward to it. I still believe Eric's got something planned for Fur After Dark, his Fur After Dark website, which is a spin-off of the Sabrina universe, which is more Zig Zag focused and what she brings to the table continuity-wise and everything. I think we're going to get a side story with her and Tina getting it on at a hotel or something while they're at that hotel they stayed at while they were traveling. Or we might get something between Zig Zag and Endora, because, again, we might find out that Endora, maybe the reason she was put into shock is because, she's starting to have these flashbacks to what she used to do, and it's bringing that side of her out, and she's trying to contain that side, and then maybe having this moment with Zig Zag, in the Fur After Dark story, will basically allow that to be explored and just, gotten out of her system, if you know what I mean. And the reason I say that is because there are people already doing fan comics, if you go to inkbunny.net, that are doing that as well when it comes to Zig Zag, and Endora kind of having a moment, if you know what I mean. But overall, I liked it. I like what they bring. I like the story, and I can't wait to see what also gets brought to the table and such down the line. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on it. How do you feel about it? Where do you think it's going to go next? If you are following, comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere at all your favorite podcast affiliates. Check me out at rumble.com at bwroses, odyssey.com at bwroses, VENMO at bwroses. Also, check me out at deviantart.com at bvw1979. Also got a Cash App and a Venmo if you want to help donate there. And also, check me out at inkbunny.net at bwroses and click on the link at the bottom of the Teespring store. Get yourself some merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, give me your thoughts on this. What do you look forward to the most? What do you think will be revealed? And until next time, guys, I will talk to you all later. I got to get ready to go somewhere to take care of some stuff for my own family. But let me know what your thoughts are, and I am out.